Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be doing a stock analysis of AST Spacemobile. Now, if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, remember, this isn't financial advice. This is purely entertainment and educational purposes. Now, if you don't know what AST Spacemobile is, you could probably guess it from the name. They make satellites, of course, the space. Now, they make a certain kind of satellites that focuses on connecting devices with when they don't have any actual connections. So, say you have a provider, let's take AT&T, and you lose your connections to them. Then Spacemobile, if you said you have the apps or the service of AST, they will then go in and use their satellites to cover you again, which is quite an interesting business proposition or business case, so to speak, because this means that they don't focus on using their network to make any actual customers, or primarily they are going to use their satellite base to make supportive satellites for other companies, which I think is quite interesting as we see a lot of different satellite companies trying to outcompete each other. Meanwhile, AST is trying to support existing satellites for bigger companies, and they also have recently just won a huge contract for the United States. They did so back in January, which is why they had this huge increase right here. Now, if you take a look at the stock, as you can see, late last year or mid last year, it had an insane run. As you can see right here, back in May, it was at $2, and then boom, all of a sudden trading up in 35. So it is quite highly valued at the moment. As before this huge rise, it was valued about $600 million. Now it's 8.6 billion. So it's quite much more expensive now. So that is of course something to be wary of. Also, given on Friday here on May the 2nd, we did see a 14.7% increase in price, which is quite insane. Now, as you can see, earnings wise, they don't make any actual money yet. Of course, many satellite companies don't make any real money until they are quite big, but they of course sometimes win contracts or governments which gets grants for designing, which are quite big. Now, as you can see, dividends, of course, they don't pay out any actual dividends. Annually, they don't make any real money. They do some years, but in 23 they do nothing, and in 24 they made a little money but lost quite a lot. And that was because they sent up satellites for the first time, or their new satellites for the first time this year, which went great, which is also a reason why they won the contract and why it has increased so greatly. Now, out of all the satellite companies I do think there is some merit to Spacemobile's plan, but I do, however, think it's way too overpriced at the moment. I think it is going to tumble quite hard. I think the next price we're going to see once it settles a bit is going to be down here in 18, because that's when we have a proper support level right here. As you can see, I think it is going to trade all the way down here. Now, the reason I think that is because we have recent support levels here. And as you can see, we also did see it bottoming out here and then gaining some more. I do think once maybe people sell out, chances are it's going to tumble again. Maybe I'm just too pessimistic on this case, but I do think more often not, companies like this sometimes just get too hyped. As you can see, people start rising up to from 2 to 5, thinking, oh, it's going to make a lot of money. Then boom, back up to 8. So huge percentage-wise increases, of course. And then it just was a hype train all the way up to here. Of course, they did win a government contract and their launch was successful, but I don't think they are worth this much at the moment. Now, performance-wise, as you can see here, it was first launched on the stock exchange in 19, and we have seen some great years. We only have 2 negative years, but they are quite big minus in 21 and in 22 with minus 38 and 41%. Now, otherwise of that, we have 19, the year they were launched, with plus 1%, which means maybe people probably didn't know them. Then we have 23 and 2020 and 2025, which were quite decent, 22, 25, and 35%. And as you can see here, last year, 335% up. It was up at 700% at one point. So quite insane at the moment, as you can see. Now, if we go back to the technicals here, as you can see, for the day, it's a strong buy, and for the month, it is still a buy. That is because of the way that, as you can see, the stock is slowly but gradually gaining, which is quite nice. Of course, it did take a bit of a tumble, but besides from that, it is trading sideways and then up a bit. So the technicals is with it. Also, the fact that we are up in the RSI down here, as you can see, and we had a golden cross on Friday. Now, if you don't know what RSI is, that is the relative strength index. So if it's below 70 and above 50, it's in the upper channel, which means there's upwards momentum in the stock. If it's above 70, it's overbought, as you can see here. Sometimes it spikes a bit and then it falls quite a bit because many people or algorithms trade out when something hits too high of an RSI. So yeah, and if it's below 50 and above 30, it's over in the lower channel, which means it's got downward momentum and it's oversold. If it's down here, as you can see, then it bottoms out and then often gains a bit of traction again. Now, as you can see here in the analyst rating, they are quite great. We have 7 analysts on it, with 6 being strong buy and 1 being buy. Now, I don't like when we have so many just on strong buy and buy, because that makes me think it's a bit overhyped, also just given the track record it holds. I do find, of course, maybe it is because it is the next huge company, we don't know, but I just don't like it when we have way too positive outlooks on it, and more often than not, an analysis would buy or strong buy or hold on it rather than a sell, just given the analysis world. That is more often than not what is being done. Maybe you might call me a pessimist, but that is just the way I see analysts doing their job, to be honest. Now, interesting, however, is to see the way they're going to expect to earn money. As you can see, 25 and 26, they also expect not to make any money at all, but then they expect to make great money in 28, which is quite interesting. I haven't been able to find out any reasons why 28 is this year. They're expecting to make quite a lot of money per stock, if I can speak. They estimate to make quite a lot of money in 28. Maybe it's because they plan to have an entire network satellite rolled out by that point. I'm not sure, but that is anyway the forecast of money. Now, I do believe, see, this makes more sense. Then it would make more sense if this was maybe 0.91, so 12 cents up, but almost up $4 per share is quite insane. So that is also why I don't like it. I see it as a bit of a hype train. Now, if you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.